Hello. Today we're going to talk about focusing on Grace Market as an opportunity and not as what it is currently being effectively producing at. So, the things that I wanted to discuss is trying to make transition and mobility a focus. And the way I want to introduce it is through sustainability. So what I'm trying to end up with is effectiveness in transitioning veterans from Grace Market. Now, Grace Market is a community supported campground type organization that offers temporary housing for transitioning and displaced workforce, also with enough what would you call privacy included in their mission that others feel safe being brought into a community with this security of disclosure of who they may be, their backgrounds, if it's crime or any of that. So with the community supporting this, I myself have what I feel is a valid offer to give back. The way I see myself doing that is by helping veterans. A little background on me: I was a transitioning disabled combat veteran that returned from Iraq with a near miss on a mortar round that caused me to have difficulties maintaining employment. This development of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is real, and the effects of it was lost my daughter, abandonment, divorce, and 8 years of unemployability. So what I had to do to overcome this hardship of a disability, returning from combat with a disability, was first ignored because it's not happening. I'm an effective person. Being effective doesn't change because you go to combat. However, my spirals of downwardness continued to show up more and more frequently, and I continued to have the anxiety, the stress, the lack of sleep, the night terrors, the just hardships of facing a disability. No one's out here teaching how to overcome a disability and return to work. I feel by doing it myself and becoming successful at overcoming my own hardship of PTSD, I can give back to a community at the social services level and help others transition. I feel that by giving back to the social service sector of a community adds value to programs offered by social services already provided in a community. So it brings me to a question of where do I volunteer? I started volunteering after a United Way bus tour showed me a few organizations that are in their network of organizations in the social service world. When I finished that bus tour, I noticed that there was an opportunity of a classroom offered by Catholic Charities here in Gainesville that I seen myself getting people into a classroom. Now, they said the parameters of classroom, people that come, are actually transition people and not fully unemployability and a living in a state of non-mobility. So if you're showing the potential of transitioning, it was already pre-qualified to go to these programs offered at Catholic Charities. The program that then was asked if I wanted to be part of as a volunteer and possibly in the future partner with was a class that is be given monthly or weekly for finance. You got your fixed finance that you can get educated on and be better at your once a month payment of finances than not having that knowledge. When I went to my first volunteering slot, I helped Catholic Charities to restock their food pantry at the Catholic Charities level. And when I volunteered in the evening slot, 5:30 to 8, with Bridges to Prosperity, the classes that are offered at the Catholic Charities in the evening, I seen that it was bigger than just a finance class. It was a life class intertwined with why it's important to respect and grow and develop yourself in finances. They offer 3 different courses for 3 different levels, and they graduate people into being able to manage their money properly, understanding how to fix their credit, understanding how to make people, others, responsible to their own finances. You know, it helps you to establish boundaries of family, understand that we as a family don't have to take on all the problems and save everyone. That is a position that is somewhat believed and supported, and you become that person, but that's not the person you actually are setting goals to become. It is a position that you get placed into with lack of planning. So you can address those by either nicely saying no or becoming tolerant. Tolerant not in the form of I just want to avoid this. Tolerant in the form of my mother was a bad mom, my eyes, my opinion, because of all the things she forced me through. And the asking people for things because we were short of those things really played out in my life to make things in my life filtered improperly. However, it's okay. If my mother wasn't that mother, which I now know is not a bad mom, I would not be the great man that I can become, because it all ripples differently. So you can okay with that and understand that that is the drive. And what that does in mobility, it removes the drag of you seeing things in a negative form, and it becomes your excuses. So those are the kind of gifts that I see at the Bridges of Prosperity. And that the program is very successful, and probably could be expanded if they had the right training to move the class in the right direction, which at this time a bishop level of church has been providing the program at a great job at it and a great pace of moving people in and out of the program. So I do like the direction it's going, but I was also asked how, and I always say if someone says but, you always add an and in the place of the but. But how do you transition veterans from Grace Market? And that led me to my idea that I would be comfortable with analyzing the problem. Establishing volunteers that will learn the training that can be offered right on site as a landscape company, lawnsbyspence.com. We have an opportunity to train on area beautification and do landscaping and teach landscaping. However, Grace Market has this program already established and they have people in it. I believe that I've heard from going to city commission and county commission boards hearings here in town that even though you have a great program set up and it's funded, the program can expire if this problem arises for your program. It's called better qualified candidates. So the question really to me was, how do you get a better qualified candidate to compete in a volunteer atmosphere with a better qualified candidate in a job history? They have no criminal background. They have internet access. They have a vehicle. They have these things that this transition would not have, which this transition would have. So what they labeled that is better qualified candidates. No job gap. I have experience in this. So what experience do you feel they have just getting a degree? Well, we faced that question throughout the election, that degrees aren't getting jobs anymore. So getting a master's degree doesn't equivalent to $50,000 plus income or salary or wages. It equivalates to you have a degree, you finished a program in full. So when you get that, there is a distortion over here of I just finished my degree and went and got an education to make me a better qualified candidate, to I have been volunteering for X number of hours in the field and have now graduated a program and get a certificate. Santa Fe College is already partnering with people on certificates. I know that because I use these trainings to become sustainable in water. There was a St. John's County Water Management did a program where I was led into it. GRU did Energy Auditor 1 and 2, where you could go out and help people save money in energy audits, and other programs that you can get at OneSource, Career Source, or Employ Florida by going there, and it's already funded by the government to continue to retrain these transitioning people. So that structure complements a program created, an apprenticeship program created for vets at Grace Market. So what do I add to the value of taking on volunteering programs already existing at Grace Market and an apprenticeship program created to train those volunteers? Apprenticeship means a certain time period with phases. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, Phase 4, Phase 5, graduation. And a certain amount of time to show that you're ready to go to the next phase. How do I set something up like that? Well, I was a transportation movement coordinator and did analyst work in Iraq for a 20% engineer change. That allows me to understand the concept of, hey, I have 3 aspects of change: people, process, product. I literally took a pen and paper and went to each location of a process and did process improvement, looking at those 3 areas. When you look at those 3 areas, you are left with structure. Structure is something that can be managed. So people is you got the right person on the right job. Is somebody better on the phones than the person you have on the phones? Is somebody better picking up cigarette butts for area beautification? Might not be a great job for them. Or back to the phone idea. Someone that might be on the phones really wants to be outside working in the freedom of space. Maybe changing them to will make a better efficiency. That's cross-leveling, restructuring. Process, and sorry for using the cigarette butt thing, but I just wanted to say it doesn't have to be a grander job to get to a better job. It can be a better fit for the person. So that's why I use that contrast. So let's go to product. Product is the equipment that they're using. It might be that that person doesn't like the phone they're using. They're using the old flip phone, and they're used to using the iPhone. iPhones are different than Android phones, and it just is not something they're picking up. But the person outside could really understand that system. So, can you change the phone system? Yes, that's product. And you buy a better computer? Yes, you can buy a better computer. Can you buy a printer? Maybe they just need a printer at the site so they can print things out because it's too difficult remembering and inputting it fast enough to keep up with the intake. So that's product. Process is the third thing, and process is, hey, what is the problem with intake? Intake, the phones are terrible and we can't get the phone to work fast enough, and I'm frustrated here. Maybe I'm not the right person for this phone. However, it might not be the phone. It might be the process of intaking people. So you have 12 people in line, 3 of them want to use or get records or something that could take a long time. Those people can be queued by numbers, giving the person time to process in the intake people that they need to do while they have numbers coming in when they find time to call the numbers. Now, That allows these people that could get their answer a different way, or are going to take time away from the main job of intake, which is process people in, from them, and they will be seen as they can get to them. The line then thins out and can be more efficient. That is a process change. Or process could be, hey, I'm getting pushed around by people that feel they don't need to do intake. I'm a vendor. I don't want to do this for you. And I don't have to listen to you. You're a volunteer. So by putting a memo on the desk that says, hey, this person has the authority to sign by director, that now gives that desk the authority to keep these people from overriding them, and they can control their point better. So those are the three examples: people, product, process. Structure is that memo. Structure is that phone. Structure is structure, restructure, and overhaul and streamline. Structure is looking at the process, finding where it needs training at, and adding the value of training to where it's missing, the void or the squeeze points or the frustration points. So what I'm offering, Grace, is the process analysis, teaching the veterans out in Grace Market that there is a process, and the process could be improved. However, we're going to have to volunteer and figure out what the problem is annually, and then address the problem, add more volunteers, recruit, inclusive in a program, which is apprenticeship of training that has phases 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that will then lead to completion, graduation, where they can have a certificate that says, I graduated from this program. It's an excellent program. I would love to come to work for your company. And the graduating class can volunteer to learn with the transitioning, and also use that as a reference, saying, I got into this great program as a volunteer where I added value to my community, this much value, because it's next, what I want to talk about is the tracking and reporting of this analyst work. So by doing the analyst work, you get the results of tracking and reporting. By doing the tracking and reporting, you find the areas you can fix. By producing a better product at the end, you become what I seen when the 20% change in Iraq. By doing the same thing, a standard of program. As a standard, others do what you do because you now have created something that works for them too. Not even part of where you're at, by following what you've already done. Results. So in Iraq, I took a movement management coordinator and fixed the process where we became a standard. And that standard took us from below 70% tracking and reporting to above 90% in tracking and reporting, which is efficient tracking and reporting. And the standard went across a theater. A theater can be the size of America. That was the size of the theater that took on the tracking and reporting improvements I put in place and became a winning theater. So, what I'm giving away is only the beginning of process improvement with results. And that process will make the transitioning a value to any company, because they not only find out where you're at in analysis, they project a forecasting model from that point to what it will look like in the end. And they put the work into training. And training costs a lot. So how do you reduce the training cost? Train the trainers. They teach a group of people. The group of people come back and teach the rest. As a volunteer, I'm not giving 40 hours, 60 hours to this. 2 hours, a Sunday maybe, depends on the size of the program, to train. And when I leave for the week, these volunteers will take that weekly goal and achieve it or fail, and will retrain and try again. There is no loss and only value added throughout the entire program. And I think that just from this video, you can see that what I am offering works. Not a little bit, a lot. It is a bigly plan, a bigly program. Gets the resources, the assets, the volunteering, the equipment is all there already. The area beautification need, the sustainability need, the mobility need, the job placement. Now, to conclude job placement, that certificate still doesn't add value in action. So, by graduating these people, I offer personally a job in lawn care. But I feel that this same program will be used in all the other job areas, and establish those job areas to get certificates and value out of our same work we're doing in lawn care. So I take on any job at Grace Market that is already existing, and I can improve it with their own resources, their own volunteers, and create something for those volunteers called mobility. Now, job placement is actual work too. So we would have to call the employers and work with state voc rehab, which I went through, and VA voc rehab, which I used. And placement might not be a job. Placement might be the VA's 3 locations to end a program, or 3 locations of transition: stabilization, getting the help you need in the rehab arena, or the medical treatment arena, where you are stabilized on your medicine so you can then perform without the mental health issues. It can be job placement at the VA with their programs they already have in place, if you feel that's a better fit for you, which they come with housing, they come with assistance, not official housing, housing assistance and other programs that's already in place. But so I said mental health, stabilization, like getting corrected on your meds, rehab, like 3-month programs that show that you aren't on drugs and you can refrain from drugs. Getting that bridge to cross is a big step for someone that has been dealing with alcohol or any other drug excessively and would like to rehab. Or job placement. Job placement being either working for me, you know, I feel that a minimum of 30 people should be hired to go through the apprenticeship program to help develop the apprenticeship program. So phase 1 would be phone work, creating, understanding you're developing a route. Apprenticeship step 2, 3, 4, 5, graduation. However, job placement would be there for it. 30 slots right available, and you are hired under an apprenticeship certificate that says you have the job. Finish the program of apprenticeship and you will be certified to maintain the job. Now, I know that they've been wanting to do that for lawn care and landscape. Here it comes that someone will teach what it takes to be certified and have results of being effective at it. All right, so I feel like I've covered most of it. I try not to give away all the gold, the diamonds, and everything on a video because you'll miss something by fear. Creating something that doesn't exist, and it will stop you from being motivated to clarity. And I don't want that to happen. I want you to be able to talk to the source and find out if your fear is valid or not. So I created this focus group today where we will be taking on people to try to hear what the community says about this large grace market that we fund out of our community money as donations, and improving the programs. Where are their concerns? What do they want to see? So I don't come and build something that works, but nobody is vested in what works. Because when I call the employers, I want that promotions, those campaigns, those media work and all of that to be in front of me so you can see where we're at and what we're up to. Also, I'd like to mention on the way out that there is this Great Outdoors organization that's offering programs to vets too, and I feel that getting the vet off of the property into one of those programs could be as just beneficial as Bridges to Prosperity, because of the other entwined messages that come with sustainability. You think you're amazing at camping, watch what happens when you have to camp properly. They're going to be surprised, but by just putting veterans of Grace Market through their camping program could improve the quality of life through Grace Market. It exists already. It's a resource. Veterans, VA is using that for veterans that come back to get them stabilized, balanced. We have an imbalance of reality, of awareness when we come back that is very sensitive. And we have to readjust. But readjusting is not what is taught at school. Readjusting is something you have to find your way through. And it was hard for me. Divorce, reduced child support. Now I got to figure out how to get a job, so transportation. Then I got to figure out how to get secure housing, because divorce took my credit with it. So to stabilize that, you have to learn how to check your credit and improve your credit history to get to the point where you have established credit again, or have started to resolve the credit issues you have, to figuring out how to get a job and make enough for the master's degree student loans that are going to come immediately when you start working as repayment, and getting a low-end job because of the economy not producing at a higher level than. So what you get stuck with is an entry-level job that pays under $30,000 and a $600 bill coming. That is your SUV for going to college that you think you can afford too. So you have to give up on your SUV and take the low-end job and work your way back up to. It's a hard transition. Even for good families, strong support, that's a hard transition, because you went to school for so long and you've held in everything that some point, which in TV and movies is you graduate. It's not that point anymore. Now it's down here, further away than graduation, and the work begins. So you're talking about 8 to 10 years, high end or average of transition. 5 years, I would say, it'd be a little shorter, maybe 2. I don't know these parameters. I'm sure there's data out there. I haven't looked it up. To further of non-transition, from college to actually producing at the master's level without the job. That helps to give the structure to that transition. And it's showing up in drug problems, mental health, crime, all of this, because frustrated. We have frustrated cargo, frustrated people that can't transition themselves. So education has always been the answer, and it's a strong, structured, forever. You can look at 150-year school classrooms to current classrooms. The structure is now changed. The general classes are there, and the secret that everyone needs to unlock is that you have everything you need to make this work. All right, thank you for listening. I have more.